engagement. I think what we learned from, one thing we learned from that activity is all of this work, it requires connecting, and engaging, and talking, and working together. I think it's Elizabeth who always tells our team at Hawaiʻi Wildfire, if you plan it alone, if you travel alone, you end up there alone. She says it better. But I'm going to introduce really briefly. We have Megan Fitzgerald-McGowan. She is the Firewise USA Program Manager at the National Fire Protection Association. She works with federal, state, and local partners to engage residents and communities through the Firewise Recognition Program framework. She's representing a federal entity that works with doing a lot of engagement. And then at the state level, we invited Richard Hoke. He is the executive assistant to the chair of the State Department of Hawaiian Homeland. And then we have Dana, who is one of our community members, who is a Firewise leader for his community of Waikoloa Village. And then there's me from Hawaiʻi Wildfire representing sort of the nonprofit sector from the perspective of working across with lots of different partners, always having to include engagement in all of our efforts. So I'm going to hand it back to you so you can walk us through some questions.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm excited to have you all here on our panel. So we are going to have an informal discussory session here with all of these wonderful folks. And our first question to all of you, and Megan, I'm going to start with you, is if you could all introduce yourselves and then tell us a little bit about what community engagement looks like in your work. So Megan, I'll toss it to you first.
All right. Hi, everyone. Megan Fitzgerald-McGowan. Like it's been said, I work for NFPA. But in a real quick background for me, I was a wildland firefighter, spent many years on an engine helping protect communities and individual homes from fire. And as I was out there on the landscape, looking at places we would respond up steep, narrow roads, you know, kind of dangerous, one way in, one way out, often the thought in my head was, why are we here putting ourselves at risk when these people have chosen to live here and haven't chosen to accept the risk in the form of being a part of the wildfire solution? So then I transitioned out of that work into more prevention and preparedness, saying, how can we be proactive, work together, and really tackle this as a group instead of just putting our firefighters out there in the way of harm. So those are the biases I bring to the table, but when it comes to community engagement and what it looks like working now for NFPA, I work across a variety of scales and communities. So I work with communities of practitioners at the national level. We are under a cooperative agreement with the Forest Service, so we engage with them. We engage with other cooperators who receive federal money as we all work in the fire-adapted community space, serving different roles, trying to then engage different communities down, working their way down. So I do work with federal, state, local partners. We provide resources for all of those to use, all the way down to the individual community, like a group of homes, a neighborhood, or resident level. And in the work that I do with the Firewise USA program, we are, setting criteria, objectives, and messages that can then be tailored to the local community, the local needs. It's really hard when you work nationally to have a broad message that applies to everyone. The science around how homes ignite and the work that we need to do is the same, but it's a very different conversation here versus what I might have in Spokane Valley where I live, or where I used to live on the Front Range in Colorado. So you have to take those national messages that sound science and really tailor it to fit the audience that you're talking to. So when I think about community engagement, it's how can we provide resources that people can use but can modify to fit the need. And when we look at community engagement, it's conferences like this, it's high level, maybe to help bring people in, but really where we see a lot of success is in face-to-face one-on-one, small group conversation. And so we try to support all of that. But this is great to me to see all these people from different industries, different groups, different organizations here, because that's what community engagement really is. It's bringing everyone to the table to be a part of the conversation.
Thank you so much, Megan. Richard, I will call on you now. Same questions. You could introduce yourself, and then what does community engagement look like in your work?
Thank you. Aloha, Awidana, Maikako. Again, my name is Richard Holt. I work with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. I'm the assistant to the chair. And one of my jobs is to execute the special projects of the chair. And the special project of the chair, one of them is to develop a wildfire response plan. Before I get into our journey to implement this wildfire response plan, I just want to give you a thumbnail sketch of the Hawaiian Homelands program. It is a land trust that was created in 1920 by the federal government. It was spearheaded by Hawaiian Prince Jona Kuhia Kalamina Dahole. He is the father of the Hawaiian homelands. The administration of the Federal Act was transferred to the state of Hawaii upon its admission to the Union in 1959. The act was included in the Hawaii State Constitution by amendment in 1978. The state agency that administers this land trust is the Hawaiian Homelands. The beneficiaries of the trust are Native Hawaiians determined by blood quantum that have a lineage connection to the people that occupied the kingdom prior to Western contact, 1778. The trust consists of approximately 204,000 acres of land across the state. Approximately 24 acres are populated with 40,000 homesteaders under homestead leases, under agricultural leases. Most of these lands are located in areas designated as high wildfire areas. On the day that Lahaina was burning, we also had fires burning in Kauai High, Kailapa, and the Big Island. The very next month, in Anahola, we had a wildfire there that came dangerously close to one of our subdivisions. The year before, in 2022, we had a raging fire in Nanakuli and Waianae. And in the years from 2019 to 2021, we had wildfires at Kahikinui and Pu'ukapu. Last year, we had a fire at Hanapepe. So our homesteads are very close to the wildfire dangers. The August 8, 2023 Lahaina fires compelled local government to look inward at what we were doing about and how to respond to the wildfire threat. The legislature asked all the state departments that manage state lands to report on their wildfire response plan. So, as a staff, I reached out to the department staff and I asked them, the legislature asked us, what is our response plan? And we didn't have it. We didn't have any coherent response plan like many state departments. We called out to our land managers on the district islands and they said when there's a wildfire, we call 911. And pretty much that was the answer from the state, the other state departments. But the legislature also asked us, tell us your needs. What are your needs? If you were given an unlimited budget for a year and you had to spend it on the wildfire mitigation, what were they and how much would they cost? So we tasked our staff to, you got an unlimited budget, tell us what you need. So they gave us the calculation, all the fire breaks, all the fencing, all the water storages, the infrastructure that had to be built, how to maintain them. And we calculated the cost of 1 year would be $158 million. So that's a lot of money, so we sent that to the legislature. And we haven't received a response yet. But doing this research, I became cognizant of the dangers that the homesteaders face within their homestead departments. The Hawaiian Homes Department will maintain the lands outside of the boundaries, or right up to the boundaries of the homesteader's property. But within the property of the homesteader, it's their kuleana to take care of their homes. And I was aware, just looking at how Lahaina burned, that these embers get into the area, they're going to go. A lot of these homes are old, and they're not retrofitted with the type of material that they have today. So they would just go fast, just like Lahaina. So I was wondering, how do we get the people mobilized? And so happened that in December of 2023, that would be 4 months after Lahaina, someone told me about this wildfire summit that was happening in Maui, and about this group HWMO was putting on. So me and a couple of staff members attended it, and then I was introduced to Nani and Elizabeth, and I heard about the program, the Community Firewise program and the Ready, Set, Go program, and I was juiced after hearing about that program. And I wanted to have all our homestead communities to become firewise. So that was my mission at the time. So in speaking with Nani, I said, she said that she had already worked with some of our homestead communities. And it was like Kailapa, Kahikinui, Waiahuli in 2016. So here we are in 2023, and we're already working with our communities, and we didn't know anything about that. Well, at least I didn't know. But then the state, you could feel the momentum because of what happened in Lahaina. That government agencies started really getting concerned about the dangers, and we started putting together plans and how to get our communities firewise. So shortly after that summit, I spoke with Nani and I said, the department wants to put together their own symposium for our homesteaders. And she said, that's a good idea. Nani always said, it's a good idea. Okay, so we got our staff together, we started talking, and so about a year after Lahaina, and about 8 months after I spoke with Nani, we put together our summit. And we invited all of our homestead associations, 51 of them, they're leaders in all of the associations. And we wanted to pretty much inform them about the dangers of wildfires and how we could get together and get their community firewise. So it was well attended. We invited fire people, we invited state government, we invited HWMO. And Nani and Elizabeth were the featured speakers. And it came off with a bang. It was a successful summit. At the symposium, we surveyed the leaders and we asked them, what are the 3 most important things that you felt was important in advancing the Firewise community effort? And they listed the first thing as education. They wanted to be Firewise education. The second thing they wanted was funding mitigation projects. And the third thing was organization. So we took those 3 priorities and we went back, we thought about it. And so for the education, we produced a video, a Firewise video, which HWMO and Nani is in there talking about Firewise. And we have our chair talking about the need for the homesteaders to get organized and become community Firewise and the importance of it. And so besides this, and we play this at every community meeting, the monthly community meeting that the commission has throughout the state. The Hawaiian Homes Commission is the commission body that provides policy for the department, and they have community meetings every month on every island, on each island. So at these meetings, we play this video to the homesteaders that attend. And the number 1 on the agenda, as soon as the chair gives his opening statement and he's done, the video comes up, and there's Nani up there talking about Firewise. And then we also have present a representative from HWMO who speaks about the program and is available to answer questions. So that's part of the education process that we want to put out to the homesteads. We also are putting together a website. We have a website, we want to put together a web page that will expose and publish, give exposure to the wildfire groups that are becoming recognized in the community, like Kahikinui, Kalapapu, Kapu, all of those that are Firewise or in the process of Firewise. We want to give them exposure, publicity, so the rest of the associations can see what they're doing, and maybe they become energized and move forward. So that's another thing that we're doing. And so far as funding, HMMO have grant writers, and we are working together in seeking funding so that we can fund a firewise coordinator and fund mitigation projects. We want to make sure that these funds that come in on grants go to the Homestead Association so they can do wildfire mitigation projects in their communities. So that's a priority for us. And the last thing is organization. We wanted organization. So in looking at the issues or the possible obstacles in getting communities firewise, you have to have motivated leaders. And leaders that can go out there and speak the language to their neighbors, talk about what they've learned about firewise, and organize their communities. So in that regard, we're trying to develop a cadre of leaders from each community so they can organize their communities and become firewise. And towards that end, we funded like 10 of these homesteaders to attend this summit so they can become educated and juiced up to get their communities firewise. And we hopefully will take these cadre of workers and move them forward to develop their skills in turning their communities to become firewise.
Thank you so much, Richard. Now can I swing it over to you to talk more about what community engagement looks like in your work?
I'm really touched by Richard. I'm really touched by the engagement that's happened. You know, I'm with Hawaiʻi Wildfire, and I'm part of the Firewise team, and we support the 31 and growing communities across the state. And oftentimes we find ourselves doing this work alone with our communities. We're together, we see it happening, all of this magic is happening, but I also recognize they deserve their work and the relationships and the power of community. I feel it needs to be more elevated, and it wasn't until we had that summit and I shared Firewise, my team did, and I remember Richard pulled me aside and, you know, right away he said, I have this vision, not me. And everything you've done, I'm assuming he's got more people behind him, but as far as I'm concerned, he's a two-man show, him and Diamond, from the department. Just really touched by, and that's sort of what I was going to speak on. I mean, engagement for my organization means a lot, but I think it starts with care, a genuine care for first yourself, then for your neighbor, for your community, for each other, for your place. You know, not the kind of care because, you know, you want to make your boss happy and do a good job, or you want to make your funder happy and check a deliverable. Yes, you want to do all that. But really, we just care about each other. And when you start to care, I've noticed people start caring back. And that's what's happened with all of our Firewise communities. You know, we really care about each other. And when we start to really care about each other, it's okay if we make a mistake. It's okay if we said the wrong message. It's okay if we tried something and maybe got yelled at. Like, suddenly we know each other, and we're human with one another. And I guess that's what vulnerability is, maybe. So for us, engagement, it's about relationships. Ongoing forever. Every email, every phone call, every meeting, every workshop, it all matters. And it's never ending. It's not overnight. It's constant. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Meeting somebody right where they're, right at the doorstep. Knowing that everybody has different needs and different perspectives, and being able to honor and recognize those differences is probably one aspect of engagement for our organization.
Thanks so much, Manny. All right, Lena, the hot seat goes to you now.
Oh, none. Why am I coming out before I even talk? Oh, okay, let me just compose myself. Hello, Kapo. I'm Dana Aina from Waikolo Village, a largest cul-de-sac on the island, maybe in the state, one way in, one way out. And the way I got involved with HWMO is the way I kind of got involved with many things because my wife told me, you better go. And so I do what she said. And as always, she's right. And I appreciate everything that she allows me to do. And, you know, and now I'm part of this Firewise community, something I never thought about growing up, because I grew up here right in Kona, all my life until I graduated high school, went away, came back, and in 2016 we got to move back home. We were looking for a place to live. Waikolo Village stood out, mostly because I worked at Hawaiʻi CC as a counselor, college counselor at the time, Palamanui, and my reason why I chose Waikolo Village is when you go to work, everybody going towards the resorts. And when I go back home, everybody going to Ottawa. So that was my selfish reason, one of them. And then, you know, I was volunteering as a community ambassador. I got trained as a home assessor through HWMO, and I learned that community engagement is everything I like to do. I love helping people, that's my thing. And, you know, to me, community engagement is all about what everybody's mentioning, building trust, making meaningful connections. In Hawaii, we call that pilina. And, you know, one of the ways I motivate myself, even though I don't Olelo fluent, I have a great love and respect for the language, for my culture, growing up here, and I always try to educate myself and then share that mana'o with other people. And so HWMO is just another avenue for me to allow me to do that. But some of the ways that I think, for me, in the positions I'm in with HWMO as a home assessor and a community ambassador and a part-time employee now, is those high engagement, one-on-one conversations, we say wala'au, with small groups as well. And it might be something like this, which is a larger group, but makes me nervous a little bit, but I can handle small groups. And it might be tabling, so there's a lot of tabling that we do, a lot of events that we go to, gyms, libraries, beaches, hotels, you name it, we've been there. And it just allows me a chance again to educate others about what I've learned about forming Firewise communities, being interested in Firewise, making your ohana, your home, your kaiolu, your community safer from wildfire. It might be site visits or community hazard assessments where we get to talk about vulnerabilities in that space and how people can take action. And risk homeless assessments for wildfire is a big thing. So Shelley and I have done over, I want to say like 70-ish in a year or so. So we keep busy with that. And again, we always learn something new. In a community of Waikolo, and there's 3,000 plus, I don't know if that makes a difference, but we're trying. And then collaboration, of course, working alongside all the nonprofits and fire-related entities to get the message out about being Firewise. And so that's just a few examples of what it's like for me when I engage with the community And Richard, I would say I appreciate what you do for the Hawaiian community, but I get two people out there, they're pool couples, like, know when you're gonna fix the water. Again, I'll cover you. No,
Dana, you really have to do Shelly. Dana, can you call out Shelly?
oh, yes, honey, stand up. Let's call out
Give
Shelly.
you guys a round of applause too.
She's the real brains of the outfit. I just carry stuff and reach up high.
Thank you all so much. All right, our next question for you all is about the meat of the matter. I guess, what challenges have you encountered during your engagement work, and how did you solve them? What solutions have you found for challenging community engagement problems? So for this, Richard, we're going to you first, and then Nani, Dana, and Megan.
Challenges, well, I really rely a lot on HWMO because they're the leaders in this movement, getting communities firewise. So I take a lot of my cues from her. The big challenge though is getting leaders and getting people within the homesteads to get off the okole and get outside and clean up your place. Because pretty much it's, the way I look at it, it's pretty much forming working groups to make sure your particular kuleana is safe. He has his defensible space, and that's really the problem, motivating the community as a group to come together and to become firewise. That's what I think is the biggest obstacle.
We learned from Jack Cohen the other day in our Home Mission Zone class. For those that are attending tomorrow, you'll hear the same thing, but preparing our home, our yard, our communities, it's not rocket science. It's harder than that. It's social science. It requires us humans, and I think navigating the social scene is probably always the bigger challenges. I mean, it's really, really hard work, but it's really, it's hard work. And the communities that we serve, I'm paid for the job that I have. I feel so blessed and honored to be able to be of service and to wake up and do this hard work. All of our community members, they're showing up volunteers, bringing their hearts to the table. But there are, I would say, the challenges or maybe the opportunities is the harder conversations that sometimes have to be had. The ones, I'm the kind of person that runs from conflict, but we can't. And it's the conflict, the social, the conversations that are a bit harder to have are the ones, well, Dana, I think, folks like you, we're a network. We might have a small staff, but now we have a network of Hawaiʻi Wildfire helpers. It's all of our ambassadors, cheerleaders, champions, community movers and shakers. So we're all doing this together, and that makes the hard work easier, and getting through those tougher conversations easier when we have one another.
I think when you engage with the community, you get all of those challenges, especially the conversations, and sometimes the comments are very supportive, and then you get the ones that aren't so much that. But me, I don't care, because I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I like to go in where there's a problem and talk story with somebody and listen and acknowledge what's happening to them and what's happening around them, to see if we can come up with a solution and also involve them in a solution, like somebody was saying. Because I don't like when people come and just tell me their problems, but don't come with solutions. There might be something in my background in education, but I try to be that for them, just a resource so that they feel that caring, and also they feel like they can take steps to make a difference on whatever the challenge might be that's happening with them. Not just wildfire, but whatever else going on with them. There's a Hawaiian proverb that goes, he wa'a he moku, he wa'a. So that means the canoe is an island, the island is a canoe. So we all gotta work together to solve that problem. We're not gonna get to the shore, we're not gonna get to our destination without everybody's input. So that's my perspective, and that's how I approach challenges. And I think, feedback we get from when I engage, that even if there's not a solution, it's okay. Maybe we'll get a solution later. Maybe we don't have the answer right now. But if you be honest with the person who has that negative comment, or maybe we don't have a solution, at least you can acknowledge that we can work together to solve that. So that's my approach. Thank you.
Everything that these three have said is kind of what we hear and see nationally. But the number one challenge is people, because we're irrational. We have feelings about things, and sometimes opinion guides what we do instead of facts. And it's hard, when we're specifically with like Firewise and all the work in the home ignition zone, you were trying to ask people to change what they value. Right, their home, their property, their thing that brings them comfort and joy. So when we work with different partners and organizations, we all are working towards that same goal of how do we help communities be safer and ready for wildfire. But we work in different lanes, we have different missions. But how do we share messages? And I love some of your comments, Dana, because it's really, you can't go there to just share information. You have to go there to hear concerns. Nani said it earlier, meeting people where they're at, and you have to listen and acknowledge. And you, as a practitioner, as a neighborhood ambassador, as an insurer, as someone in an industry, you have to be ready to have a conversation and not just be there to be right. And that is where we see a lot of challenges is we sometimes have to change our approach. I'm going to put in a plug for FactNet. They, at one point, did a fantastic series called Fantastic Failures. And people working in this space shared through blogs some of their experiences and their learning opportunities and growth opportunities on how they could maybe a better approach to situation. And then when they went back and tried again, the second time was better because they were humbled a little bit and they were more open to learning. And I think when we look at any of the challenges, whether it's with Firewise, or maybe you really care about smoke policy, or you care about evacuation, it's people, and you have to be ready to acknowledge people and have that conversation. And the other challenge that we see, you are a motivated group, you are here, but how many of you are the only person from your area, from your community, who's engaged and ready to talk about this? I want to see a couple hands. So I bet for some of you who have a bigger committee now, you started out as the one person. So the other challenge is, how do we keep you going? How do we keep you in the space? Because people get burnt out. And we see that nationally, and I'm sure there's been some, even within your organization at HWO, it gets tiring. And now there's a lot of focus on fire, but when Elizabeth spoke, yesterday about for 20 years, we've been trying to get people engaged, no one would talk to us really, that's exhausting. And so little nudges along the way help keep people going. Little bits of funding. Giving your community $500 to help do a dumpster day can really be that bright spot to help get them on their journey. So if you are in a position with an organization or a company, like, and you're trying to figure out what is my role in the wildfire space, can you be a funder? Can you help with engagement on that front? If you are that resident leader, what helps inspire you? I love having a website to promote people and what they're doing, telling their story. You're recognizing their efforts, and you're putting them in the spotlight a little bit and helping them grow as well. So looking at all the challenges, again, it is people, and we see that everywhere, and we're all constantly learning and growing, and how do we overcome that and support and grow together.
Thank you for sharing perspectives of those different scales of how incredibly important trust and relationship building is to achieve things together. So final question for you all, building on what you were just talking about, Megan, what are the long-term impacts that you hope to see from community engagement, and how do you think it can change and contribute to capacity within communities?
The long-term impact I hope to see is that I don't have a job, right? Like, I mean, the ultimate goal is that we get to the point where we live with fire. We have, not only at this level, at the policy level, at the building level, all these different communities of practice who work in this space, we are at the point where, yes, we know there's a fire, but our homes, our communities, they're ready for it, and so we don't have that big concern. But it's trust, it's buy-in, and just hoping to see more people at things like this that really put me out of work.
Well, it's great working with you, so hopefully not, but do you like to chime in on that question? What long-term impacts you hope to see from community engagement?
I hope to see a lot of things, especially with the youth involved in this Firewise movement. So shout out to the Waianae watershed people and all the other watersheds and everybody, like even Waikoloa Dry Forest, they have a future foresters to help kids understand how to malama aina. And so if you're working in that group, just know that everybody is supporting you, and I appreciate what you do. Raise your hand if you're an educator. Yeah. Raise your hand if you're not an educator. Everybody's an educator. Everybody's hand should be up, right? No excuses now, right? So, so that's what I hope to see. I mean, so Hawaiians say, if you want to live for a year, plant kalo. If you want to live for 10 years, maybe plant koa. But if you want to live for 100 years and we want our policies to progress and our people to advance themselves, and the people is everybody in that canoe, teach the next generation, especially the Kekian and the OPO, get them involved early. So that's what I like to see, besides a lot of more home assessors and Firewise communities model.
Well, my long-term vision is that the vision that I had in December of 2023 is that I wanted to see all our homesteads Firewise, and that's my vision. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen the next day, but it's going to happen because fires are going to be with us to time immemorial, and we're going to have homesteaders to time immemorial. And every time there's a fire, they're going to be motivated again to get Firewise. But ultimately, all the community will be Firewise. And when all of them are Firewise, then everyone's on the same page. Everyone has the same mindset. Everyone has the same interest, protecting their homes, protecting their aina, and taking on kuleana, because that's their kuleana, to take care of their own lands. Thank you.
If you don't mind, I know we only have 10 more minutes, and I'm really curious. I know there's Q&A out there, but these are all really great questions. I know all of you have insights and your own comments. So could we also ask the questions to the audience? I've got my team out here. I want to know what the challenges have been, or what's working, what's not working, or what does this stuff mean to you guys? What can we do better? And that's, no, not directed to you guys, but for anybody, let's open it up for comment, Q&A. Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Hello, my name is Tisa Liu, and I have been waiting all day to ask my question. And I've been waiting to see if I could hear the answer before I ask my question, but I haven't heard it yet. One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot is systems thinking, and thinking about resilience beyond just fire resilience and how other types of resiliency can impact fire resilience. And the first thing I thought of was food resilience. We haven't talked about at all the impact of, fire resilience on food resilience. And I'm going to share an example, I'm sorry, but right before the fires, and on my way, there was upcountry fires, that's where I live. My family came into a little bit of money and we said, okay, we need to be more food resilient because we had gone to the grocery store one time and the boats didn't come in, and the only thing there was yogurt. And I was like, I can't be that kind of diabetic grandpa, so we need to have some food, right? And so we came into a little bit of money right before the fires, and we're like, okay, we're going to turn this huge piece of our land, it's a half acre, it's not that big, but we've got a piece of land, we're going to turn it into a garden, okay? So that's what we did, and this is before I knew anything about fire resilience. This is before I really understood how close the fires could get to my house, and we did it the cheapest way that we could, which is to use old logs to create the beds, and then, does anybody know what we can put? You put mulch down. So, right before the fires, my house was right next to a giant barbecue pit. Right? And I didn't know until I went to the fire, learn how to be a fire assessor situation thing. I didn't know until after that. And of course, I had a panic attack when I realized that my attempt to be food resilient has made me very, very fire resilient, right? And we haven't talked about that because here in Hawaiʻi, we don't have food, right? We've got 2 days worth of food about, and then that's it, right? So if the boats stop coming, we had a big disaster, we had stuff. And so, what I really want to hear, maybe next time or at some point, is how we talk about how these other things that are so important to us, can impact and how we can better marry making sure that we can be fire resilient as well as food resilient. Because I'm sitting here thinking about what kind of trees can I plant that won't give ladder fuel, right? That will also give me food. How close do I, how far do I need to be away from my house to get a garden in a small space, right? These kinds of things. This is 2 things coming together. So as much as we talk about fire and being fire resilient, I also want us to think a little bit broader and think about how other things can impact that and not get too siloed while we have these conversations. Because it's going to be, it's incredibly important. And it wasn't until I saw the fires just a couple of miles from my house that I realized, like, oh, I need to be able to do both. I need to be, food resilient and fire resilient in order to keep my family safe. So I just wanted to say that's not really a question, I guess, but I've been all day. Thank you.
Hi everyone, City of Global Fire Rescue. Thank you all for your great presentation, and really pleased to hear so much conversation about people, community, relationships. It's so much more than just engagement. And to Nani's point about caring, this work is about people, relationships, making connections, caring, loving, having respect, whether it's talking story, I love that term, listening, meeting people where they're at. I'm a long-time member of the FACNet, so I cannot speak more highly about the connections and the relationships and the learning that has occurred for me via other members of the FACNet. But I have the distinct pleasure now in my new role of working in the community in which I live. And it is a profound gift for me. Our community has faced a number of tragedies, including an active shooter situation that 11 people were killed, the Marshall Fire, and my friend Paul Pay from Vail Emergency Services said, you can train people to do home assessments, you can't train them to care. And so bringing that spirit of caring into this work is been a distinct pleasure for me. And as I've said, the residents love the service that we're providing, and they love me, and they adore me. And it's such a gift, and I adore them. And so just all that I'm hearing is about the caring, not the technical expertise, but the caring. Another real quick before I end. When I worked as a firefighter paramedic, our EMS chief said, I never get calls from residents complaining because someone was not good at starting IVs. I called the complaints because people were in a-hole. So the point being, it's that connection, it's that caring, it's that services that really is going to allow us to move this forward. So, thank you.
I think this might have to be the last question. I know we only have 2 more minutes left in the session, but we do have the QR code that we can put up. So,
Linda Jenkins, I'm a community leader in Central Maui. I'm from Lahaina. I moved to Central Maui about 7 years ago. It's really good to see how many people from all different walks of life are here. It's wonderful to see Hawaiian homelands, to see HICO, to see an insurer, to see the community leaders, government, fire department, Maui County, mayor's office. Shout out to them. It's really good that we all have this shared kuleana. But it struck me over the last 2 days that there's one key player missing, and that is the large landowners, private landowners. And while they're not the only player, they're still an important player to this. So my, I guess, food for thought thing is, how do we bring them to the table? How do we make them all, a lot of them, there's a lot missing, a lot of the landowners. How do we make them care? How do we make them one part of our team?
I think that's time.
One more.
I don't mind to hurry, so we'll keep going.
Fast. Real fast. Real fast to answer her question and answer the problem that we have here at Fireways. It's a two-folded solution. I always believe too that you bring a problem, you gotta have a solution. Solution number 1, my vision, Hawaiian homes, every single home, because I grew up with a farm, but all the vegetables came from our yard, all the vegetables, yeah? So my vision is for every house to have a small aquaponics farm that one will do cucumber, one will do squash, one will do tomato, one will and so on. And the families just bartering with each other. Problem number 1, so gotta have food, right? Okay. Problem number 2, if you go a farm, what does that tell you? Everything you read, fire resistance. Thank you.